A few days ago, I covered the ABC 7 Eyewitness News story that is on the screen with me. The title of the article is Dozens of Businesses Facing ADA Lawsuits. One claims LA restaurant's website wasn't accessible. That restaurant is Sticky Rice in Echo Park. And after I published my video, I continued to look through the newsfeed and I found another story posted by ABC 7 just 3 days after this initial story. And I will tab to it now. The title of the article is Huntington Beach Store Facing Second ADA Lawsuit Over Its Website. So, just first thought here is that there are so many small businesses, and it seems to be especially concentrated in Southern California that are being sued. So if you are a small business in Southern California, I highly recommend working on website accessibility ASAP. I have read about so many website owners in California being sued, and looking through Reddit, it is happening again and again, over and over, and it's not stopping. And this is only a small portion of the lawsuits, but because you have to remember, many people are settling privately just after a demand letter is being sued, and many people are not posting online. And of course, the local news isn't covering all of these lawsuits. They're just going to cover the story. This is actually quite rare where we have a news outlet that is really covering the same story twice in a row. But it's happening so many times. In fact, there are thousands of lawsuits that have happened over just the last few years in California. So we know California is a major hub for website accessibility litigation. So, continuing down the article, we have Lindsay Lamoureux, the owner of West of Camden. This is a clothing retailer in Huntington Beach. And we have basically the same fact pattern, but this time rather than a restaurant, we have a retailer. And Lamoureux told Eyewitness News she's faced two separate lawsuits for alleged ADA violations regarding her store's website. Her quote is, "Our website was in tip-top condition. Everything that had to be there for this compliance thing was there. And they're like, no, pay me." And then scrolling down the article, Lamoureux did not wish to provide further details about the lawsuit she's facing, saying only that it's been filed by a different person and a different attorney. She also said she plans to fight it. So again, this is her second lawsuit. And when we go back to this quote, she said, everything that had to be there for this compliance thing was there. So I immediately thought of an overlay widget. And when we go to westofcamden.com, which I have now on the screen with me, we see an e-commerce website. And if we scroll down to the bottom, in the footer, we see accessibility statement and change log. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And if we scroll down the accessibility statement, we can see there is an actual change log with numerous entries taking place over months and over years since 2019. So the first change log was April 2019. We have added userway website accessibility widget. All right, so some speculation on my part. I don't know this, but here's what I think. I think this change log was a result of a settlement agreement. But it may have been simply that West of Camden wanted to be transparent and note all of the accessibility work that was going into their website, all of the changes that were being made. But my suspicion is that this is from a settlement. And so this gets back to the non-money terms of settlements. You have to be really careful with what you agree to. Now, if West of Camden wanted to have this, then that's great. I think it's great that they're so transparent about everything that they're doing and all of the work that they are putting in and the assessment that they are making into accessibility. But if it's something that's resulting from a settlement, you have to be really careful with what terms you agree to, because it's not just the money part that you need to be concerned about. It's about what you are required to do as a result of the settlement. All right, so April 2019, we have added userway website accessibility widget. And then if we scroll up, we can see that there are numerous changes being made to the website. And there are several entries into this, so showing a real investment in accessibility. And then we get to November of 2023. clarified that the overlay user-way widget is only to be used as an optional feature and not as a primary accessibility tool. December of 2023, one bullet point, removed user-way widget code. We no longer use or support the widget. And then January 2024, another bullet point has removed all mentions of user-way widget based on December 2023 removal of third-party user-way widget from the code. All right, so it looks like the user-way widget may be a source of contention for this latest lawsuit because these user-way updates are all from the last 3 months here in January 2024, December 2023, and then November 2023. And then we even have an update in April of 2024. And that wasn't for the user-way widget, but my point is that they are very active with this accessibility changelog, and they have made a lot of updates for accessibility. But with user-way, here we have an overlay widget. I've talked about this time and again. It doesn't make your website ADA compliant. It doesn't make your website WCAG conformant. And overlay widgets are known to not prevent lawsuits. And I'm going to include a link to a resource. It's several years old, but there are already hundreds of lawsuits where we have a website with an overlay widget installed, but the website owner was nevertheless sued. Here, this person, obviously, with West of Camden, obviously a lot of work has gone into accessibility. And I hope that it wasn't simply the fact that they had an overlay widget that resulted in them getting sued, because they have really, according to this changelog, so much work has been put in to the accessibility of this website. But it does look like this is at least one source of contention for this latest lawsuit. So I always recommend not having any overlay widget whatsoever. It's at best, something that provides nominal benefit, but again, it's not going to make your website ADA compliant. All right, so and this is just looking through the changelog. I'm sure there is more information to be had. There is more in the details. And when we go back to the article, we have the owner saying she's not going to get into the details. And that's good. I don't cover a lot of strategy on this channel just because I don't want plaintiffs' lawyers to react to that strategy. So keeping things in place so that clients can have an advantage when they work towards, if nothing else, lowering your settlement amount. That's always good, right? If we can lower that settlement amount, we can keep the settlement terms to a minimum. That's always best. And then hopefully we can get this case dismissed. So this website owner has obviously put in a lot of work. I hope she's able to get this case dismissed or significantly reduce the settlement amount. But again, we have so many small businesses in California being sued. If you are a small business, you need to work on accessibility, and not just in California, but everywhere. But in California, it seems like this is urgent because we just see these lawsuits come up over and over again. So I have a course called the ADA compliance course. It's going to tell you the top accessibility issues that are claimed in litigation. So these are the claims that are made over and over again in complaints filed in court. As you improve accessibility by working through these issues, you're going to reduce your risk of a lawsuit because it makes your website less and less attractive. And then, of course, best practice is to work to full WCAG conformance. This can take a while, so if you would like services to help bring you into conformance ASAP, I offer accessibility services including an audit where we find the issues, remediation where we fix the issues, and then also user testing where we have a professional with a disability who is using assistive technology. They are using a screen reader, and we will record that session demonstrating that your website is practically free of accessibility issues, and you will have this for your documentation. This is something that you'd want to do after remediation takes place. But the point is, at accessible.org, I can help you with accessibility services. But whether or not you get the course, whether or not you go through the services, The key here is that you get started and you are proactive ASAP, because we can see that so many website owners are facing lawsuits, especially in California. And I will link to both of the news stories as well as my previous video and the resources mentioned in the description.